Hey everybody, Zach here, and it is time for the show that can only be described as a mishmash of various forms of entertainment. Sit back and relax and get ready because we are on air. Hey everybody, it's your boy Zach here, and welcome to the show where the host is on air, but off his rocker. That's right, we are on air. Before we begin, I just want to mention that next week is the final episode of On Air. Now, I'm still a student at St. Clair, and I will be heading back to finish my studies in journalism and film. Plus, Remotely Zach, my late-night talk show, will be heading into its 6th season. So if you like this show, come join me Friday nights at 11 on the Zachattackproductions YouTube channel. Come on, you know you want to check it out. Well, well, the rumors are swirling, not about your favorite celebrity, but about Costco. Kind of the same thing, really. You may have heard the theory circling around online that they are going to build a new Costco in the East End. Now, look, let me tell you something. That is the most Windsor thing I have ever heard. Specifically, Windsorites over the age of 60. Now, they're going to build a Costco. Oh my God, make sure you tell your Aunt Kathy, your cousin Sam, make sure she tells her friend Lindsay, and make sure your Aunt Sandra finds out and Uncle Andrew. Oh my God, they're going to build a new Costco. Oh my God. Let me just say, at this point, it is just a rumor. It would be nice, though. It really would be nice to have a Costco out there. First of all, anyone that has ever been in a Costco, I pity you, knows that it's just way too crowded. Now, if there's anywhere I want to be at in a large crowd, it's a Taylor Swift concert. Let me be real about that. All right, do you think it's a great idea? If you're listening on the Zachattackproductions YouTube channel, make sure you leave a comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Anyway, Zach, shameless plug. Normally, I'd like to keep politics out of the show, but I also love entertainment, and the two just coincide very frequently, and this one I really couldn't pass up. Donald Trump, that's right, Florida Man 45, played Celine Dion's song My Heart Will Go On, the love theme from the film Titanic about the ship that hits the iceberg. Yeah, that one. At his most recent rally. Now, Trump was holding a rally in the state of Montana for one of the Senate candidates, and he came out to the infamous song by Celine Dion. Now, my big thing is this. Hold on. Is no one telling him what these songs are about? I mean, for crying out loud, he came out to the YMCA in 2020. Did anybody not tell him that was about getting butt stuff at the Y? I mean, I guess it is fitting. His campaign is, the Titanic, basically. I mean, I'm sorry to make that comparison, but I haven't seen anything sink faster. Anyway, clearly we were all taken aback by it, and no one was more surprised than Celine Dion herself, whose team posted a statement online, and it just kills me. Like, the last phrase just kills me. All right, before I read, I'm going to put my PR voice on. Today, Celine Dion's management team and her record label, Sony Music Entertainment Canada Inc., became aware of the unauthorized usage of the video recording musical performance and likeness of Celine Dion singing My Heart Will Go On at a Donald Trump J.D. Vance campaign rally in Montana. In no way is this use authorized, and Celine Dion does not endorse this or any similar use. And really, that song, I mean, okay, there were probably a bunch of other songs that he could have gone with, and I have a list right here. Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me by Terry Clark, Fought the Law by The Clash, Creep by Radiohead, Loser by Three Doors Down, Criminal by Britney Spears, and you know what song I'd like to dedicate to Trump? Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake. I mean, come on. It's I'm sorry, but listeners, you get what you pay for. All right. I got to ask. We're moving on. Okay, I got to ask. How many of you watch the Olympics? Oh! Then unfortunately, you may have seen this story. A breakdancer named Raygun has gone viral for her recent performance And beware, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. According to Vox.com, Ray Gunn, whose real name is Rachel Gunn, very creative, instantly became a viral sensation. Notoriety that only skyrocketed when the public learned that Gunn, who won none of her Olympic battles, actually has a PhD in breakdancing. Really? Then somebody should revoke that. Okay, first thing though, how do you have a PhD in breakdancing? Like, I swear, you could get a PhD for anything. You could get a PhD for being a food taster, and they'd, label it a fancy name, food connoisseur. You can get a PhD in food connoisseuring, darling. Yes. That's like me having a diploma in radio, but I can't turn on the on-air sign. That's exactly what her performance it really is like. Nonetheless, Ray Gunn did a variety of different dances, even the kangaroo. Well, that's, fitting. She's from Australia. Though that didn't satisfy the judges. Really, couldn't she have just gotten them to feel guilty for her by being like, oh, the dingo got my baby. I need my baby. The only way I could get my baby back was here. We've lost the Australian crowd, haven't we? We really have. Well, I don't think anybody could be more thrilled about this story than the pole vaulter. I mean, the story has taken off of him now. It really was a worthy of cracky, mate. I'm done. I'm sorry. If any Australians are listening, I'm done. Oh man. All right, we got to move on because I'm going to get into even more trouble here. Now it's time for the part of the show where I get to hear from you, the audience, and I sent out the Zach signal because I really wanted to hear from you guys on this topic. What songs should never, and I mean never, be played at weddings, let alone a funeral? Oof. Maybe that'll be next week's. We could end out with that. What songs should you not play at a funeral? All right, so we all have that favorite song, the one we love to listen to regardless of genre, but there's a time and a place for certain, songs. So I sent out the Zach signal to see what songs are better left in the jukebox during a wedding ceremony or the reception itself. Boy, did I get a lot of great ones. So let's see what the listeners had to say. Chris DuPont said, "Love stinks." Yeah. Katie McGuire Blaise, "I will survive." I will survive as long as I know how to love and know I feel right. Woo! Joy Beats said, "WAP." Jennifer Rose said, "The chicken dance." Now, what's wrong with the chicken dance? John Wilson said, "Another one bites the dust." I want that one actually played at my funeral. I really want that one played at my funeral. Judy Del Rey, "The Macarena." Hey, Macarena. All right. I have too much fun sometimes in this lonely little booth. Anyway, Linda Santarosa, "Before He Cheats." That's a good one. I like that one. Diana Lynn said, "Bad Blood." Sorry, Taylor. There's a whole host of songs from Taylor that you shouldn't play at a wedding. We are never, ever, ever getting back together. Kristen Miskinadinkawi Smith said, I'm very sorry. I was not going to get that right. I tried. "My Heart Will Go On." Clearly you can play it at a Trump rally. Oh my God, this one. Sarah McLaughlin, "Angel." Oh my God. Okay, this is why "My Heart Will Go On" should never be played really anywhere. Despite it being a love song, yes. It's also about a ship that went down because it hit an iceberg. I mean, that was made for a movie based on that historical event. And Sarah McLaughlin, even though "In the Arms of an Angel," you should not play that because once you start playing that, you're going to get a lot of sad puppy dogs. Just saying. And I got a few "Baby Got Backs" from Sir Mix-a-Lot. Now, hold on. Now, at a wedding, there's a wedding out there somewhere where the grandma or aunt or both are getting ready to throw down to that song. I mean, they're on the dance floor. I mean, you just know there's a wedding happening right now where grandma is backing that thing up, okay? You just know. All right, those are some of the responses I got. I'm sorry, I'm picturing that in my head. Ain't got none unless you got buns, hon. I'm sorry. Those are some of the responses I received. Thank you for playing. All right, I got to start moving on here because we're going to go down a rabbit hole that we cannot get out of. Fasten your seatbelts, folks, because we got quite a show. That's right. I know what you're thinking. You're just getting started? Yeah. We take a look at the history of a once prominent bowling alley here in Windsor on a brand new Did You Know? I suggest some movie ideas in my latest watch list, views and reviews, and we cap it off with the weirdest news found on the internet. That's right, stay right where you are because we are on air. Alright, you should know by now that I love talking about the weather because it's just so interesting. I also love talking about the weather of old, when it was just the craziest thing ever. From summer in March to tornado outbreaks in the fall. I look at all those stories so that way I can bring you my segment, This Week in Weather History. On August 16th, 1986, severe thunderstorm winds gusted to 60 miles per hour in Forceburg in Sanborn County, South Dakota. Thunderstorm winds gusting to 100 miles per hour uprooted trees and damaged buildings in the northern part of Hensing County. On several farms, barns, garages, silos, and small buildings were destroyed. The worst affected area was just south of Epiphany, where large steel sheds were damaged and a roof was blown in. In 1777, the Battle of Bennington was delayed by rain. The rain delayed British reinforcements and allowed the Vermont militia to arrive in time, enabling the Americans to win a victory by defeating two enemy forces one at a time. Well, the one-time weather is on your side. In 1992, one of the most destructive United States hurricanes of record started modestly as a tropical wave that emerged from the west coast of Africa on August 14th. The wave spawned a tropical depression on August 16th, which became Tropical Storm Andrew the next day. That's This Week in Weather History. Wednesday marked a historic day here in Windsor, where the lights went dark. That's right, the blackout of 2003. Now, this was a widespread power outage that affected the northeastern United States and much of eastern Canada. Power was out in cities like New York City, Boston, Montreal, and here in Windsor. So, once again, fired up the Zach signal, and I wanted to see how many of you remember that hot, dark summer day. All right, Tammy Dewhurst said, yep, we just moved to Aberg and the kid was a baby. She and I spent most of the 3 days soaking in cold water in the jacuzzi tub because it was just so hot. Bonnie Graham said she was stuck in the dark inside Chrysler wondering what had happened. Very dark, not enough emergency lighting then. Jitneys sitting running so their headlights could provide light. Payphones in the cafeteria were busy with people calling home. Others with battery radios heard what was happening outside and spread the word. We sat for a few hours until our dinner break at 7:30 before we were sent home. Michael Bertrand said, yes. My first discovery of the problem sounded like this. Honey, we need a new light bulb for the bathroom. That's a good one. All right, moving on. Now, I love to bowl. I'm an avid bowler since about 2016, and back then I joined a group called Pin Pals, and we gather every Thursday for a night of fun. That brought me to research bowling history here in Windsor, and there was a very prominent bowling alley that stuck out, Bolero. Now, when I was formulating my segment Did You Know, that was one that I just couldn't pass up. So without further ado, let's see why this once prominent bowling alley saw its last frame. On Tecumseh Road West sits an old bowling alley and entertainment center that was a staple of Windsor. So when did this bowling alley that was considered the largest in Canada end up in the gutter and seeing its last frame? I'll tell you in this edition of Did You Know? The Bolero was owned by the Rubin family in the 1960s, and what was once a 50-lane bowling alley increased to 74, making it the largest bowling center in all of Canada. Now, Bolero was at its height in the 1970s and 80s when people were out bowling at least 5 nights a week. With the closure, it left only 2 10-pin bowling alleys remaining, Rev's Rose Bowl on Dougal and Super Bowl Lanes in Forest Glade. To this day, it is still unclear what will become of this once prominent bowling alley, leaving it to sit derelict and a distant memory of what was considered a fun night with family and friends. For Mediaplex News, I'm Zachary Balogh. As you know, I'm always doing my homework, whether it's for school or it's to bring you the latest movies and TV shows that I am watching right now. That's right, get ready, because I give you my latest recommendations on this week's edition of Zach's Watch List. Alright, my first pick is the film Norbit, starring Eddie Murphy as a whole host of characters. Mild-mannered Norbit has always had it rough since the day he was left abandoned at a combination Chinese restaurant and orphanage. Recently forced to marry the shrewish glutton Rasputia, he is at his wit's end. Then, his childhood sweetheart Kate, played by Tondai Newton, moves back to town and he tries to figure out a way to his true love. It really is an underrated love story. I mean, move over The Notebook. Norbit is where it's at. My next movie is Late Night, starring Mindy Kaling and Emma Thompson. A late-night talk show host's world is turned upside down when she hires her first and only female staff writer. Originally intended to smooth over diversity concerns, her decision brings about unexpectedly hilarious consequences as the two women, who are separated by culture and generation, become united by their love of a biting punchline. And lastly, my next pick is Speed, starring Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. Los Angeles police officer Jack angers retired bomb squad member Howard Payne by foiling his attempt at taking hostages. In revenge, Payne arms a bus with a bomb that will explode if it drops below 50 miles per hour. With the help of the spunky passenger Annie, played by Sandra Bullock, Jack and his partner Harry, Jeff Daniels, try to save the people on the bus before the bomb goes off, while also trying to figure out how Payne is monitoring them. And that's my latest edition of Zach's Watch List. I hope I inspired you to watch something new. Alright, it's that time of the show where I review all forms of entertainment, new and old. Time for Zach's Views and Reviews. Country music fans rejoice! 2 very popular artists just released brand new music, Kelsea Ballerini and Sugarland. They have just released new music, and it's their first new music in about 6 years. So first up, we'll start with Kelsea, who just released a brand new song called Sorry Mom. This song is about a daughter who apologizes to her mother about her past mistakes. This song opens with a tender guitar sound, and Ballerini's soft vocals really give it a country feel. I love the storytelling aspect, and in some ways, it reminds me of Sugarland's song Baby Girl, though I do feel like certain parts of the song were a bit rocky in the storytelling. But hey, you know what? 3 Z's. Well, Sugarland has reunited with a brand new EP. Now, we talked about this last week. It really makes you wonder what happened to the neighborhood. The brand new song, There Goes the Neighborhood, is a pure bop. The sound of the funky guitar reminds me of their earlier work, and I mean, when I heard it, I'm like, this is so Sugarland. It has a country pop vibe that really is impossible to get out of your head, and I just love the song 4 Z's. Anyway, this song is so good, I thought I would share it with you tonight. So, here is Sugarland's brand new hit, There Goes the Neighborhood.
1 by 1 and 2 by 2, they're pulling up every single road in this town to tear it down. Oh, but what's wrong with a little chip in the paint? Who cares if the beams ain't straight, y'all? Better watch your back for a wrecking ball. Gone forever in a day, subdivide, give it a name. Shady acres ain't got no trees, no one cares long as it's cheap. Pave a pass for a little bit of money, but you can't get back what you knocked down, honey. Bunch of dump trucks full of bricks and what?
have now entered into the weirdness part of the broadcast, so enter at your own risk. French police have arrested a man for climbing the Eiffel Tower, as one does. City News reports that the shirtless man was seen scaling the tall tower in the afternoon. It's unclear where he began his ascent, but he was spotted just above the Olympic rings, adorning the second section of the monument, just above the first viewing deck. Police escorted visitors away from the area around 3 p.m. Some visitors who were briefly locked on the second floor were allowed to exit around 30 minutes later. Extra security has been added in case of more malicious acts. Wow, I'm actually really impressed. I can't even do stairs in the heat, let alone climb the Eiffel Tower in hot weather. Anyway, if that wasn't weird enough, it's Friday, and that means it's time to take a look at the weirdest news found on the internet. That's right, it's time for Weird News. Thousands of Virginia residents are in the dark because of a snake. Now, I suspect that the 2003 blackout was started by a squirrel. I'm starting that theory and I'm spreading it now. They wanted us in the dark so we wouldn't go outside and take their nuts. Makes sense. Makes really good sense, up here. Actually, it did make good sense once it got from my head to my mouth. Once it escaped my mouth, not so much. Anywho, where was I? What was I talking about again? Oh, that's right. Yes, the story. That's right. The story where your snake gets loose and everything just went dark. Speaking of which, Grindr is back up. Anyway, crews discovered that the cause of the outage was a snake that slithered into a high voltage area and came into contact with a transformer. According to Dominion Energy, this led to 11,700 customers in Newport News, including Christopher Newport University, losing power Saturday night. Electricity was restored to all customers after about an hour and a half. The type of snake responsible for the outage was not identified. From snakes to sand and gators, it's time for...
Florida Man does whatever a Florida man can. Look out, here comes the Florida Man.
Florida Man gives funny commentary on fight between a bobcat and a baby alligator. That is the most Florida thing ever. Can you imagine? This guy couldn't believe his eyes when he saw a bobcat and baby alligator going at it in his backyard. You can tell by the shock in his voice that he was not expecting to see that. He swears and gives hilarious commentary as the two engage in a fight. The two can be seen swiping at one another and squaring up in the fight. The bobcat definitely has a significant size advantage in this duel, but that doesn't stop the little gator from giving it a really good fight. Lucky for the bobcat, there was not a bigger alligator around to join in on the fight. Apparently, in the end, the gator was no match for the bobcat. We could have used that snake in Virginia. I mean, that would be quite the sight to see. And they're off. The gator is doing his best to nip at the bobcat, but oh no, the bobcat starts to swing at the reptile, pinning it down. Oh, the humanity. This is what it's about, folks. Oh, the bobcat has got him, but no, the gator is moving its way out of the jaws of the ferocious predator. Oh, the humanity. Well, that's the weirdness for this week. You really can't make this stuff up. Not only is that the weirdness, but that's the broadcast. And now I'm going to reach into my bag of dad jokes. We're going to take one out here. Maybe we can get a good one this week. Which city in California do all the dentists visit? Los Angeles. That's a good one. Well, I'll see you again next week. Same place, same time. Now I gotta kick you out. Why, Semisonic?
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the world. Closing time. Turn all of the lights on over every boy and every girl. Closing time. One last call for alcohol, so finish your whiskey or beer. Closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I
places you will be from. Closing time, this room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come. So gather up your jackets, move it to the exits. I hope you have found a friend. Closing time, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Yeah, I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. Take me home. Places you will be from. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. Take me home. I know take me home. I know who I want to take me home. I know who I want to take me home. Take me home. Closing time, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end.